Good morning, afternoon. Welcome to Ask a Puppy Trainer Show, episode 116. We have Loki with us today, and I know he looks very similar to last week's dog because this is his brother. We had Jack last week, and Jack's coming back next week. They're my favorites. Alrighty, so we have a couple really great questions, and I love all of our YouTube videos and our Instagram and TikTok videos where we leave something and you guys comment on them, because truly comments are what keep it alive. And we've gone even as far as people commenting and other people retorting to it. So it's kind of fun to have that. I do like to say, please don't shame anyone in the comments for what they do, what they've tried, because everyone is just here for the same reason, to get help. We shame people, they don't want help anymore. So keep it positive. Think of Loki and his positivity. Alrighty, so our first question is from, and I believe this is from last week, and it's the one I did not get to. It was on our video, do you really need potty pads? But do you really need potty pads? We have an 8-week, and this is from I Can Make Sculptures. Me too. I have an 8-week-old male Dorkie. I have an 8-week-old male Dorkie. Doesn't have a crate, but sleeps in his bed. Kept in the kitchen, apartment living, pees on the pad in the day 70% of the time, doesn't pee on pads at nighttime. How do I get him to pee and poo on the pad at night? Also, he takes himself to bed to sleep a lot in the day. Should I be keeping him up to help him sleep through the night? All right, I got to reread this through one more time. Okay, so sleeps or pees on the pad during the day 70% of the time. 70% of the time still leaves 30% where he's having accidents. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that. I'm not really sure. But I'm going to assume that he's still having accidents. So the system that you're using, because he's still having accidents, is ineffective. And I get that it may not be the perfect situation. I'm going to make the assumption that for the time that he spends in that little kitchen area where he's going on the pad 70% of the time, I assume you're not home. You probably have to go work for 8 to 9 hours a day, like most people who go to work. And that's a very, very common situation, and I don't fault you for that. However, I do have a solution for it. So normally what I do is, if it's a large kitchen and a Dorkie is a small dog, that's usually a Dachshund, what's the Morkie? Yorkie, thank you. It's usually a Dachshund Yorkie mix. So it's a small dog. And if the space is too large, then the dog is going to have accidents. I recommend getting a 5x5 playpen, making sure it's tall enough to where the dog can't jump over and hurt himself and can't climb it. If you do the baby playpens that have the straight bars, I have found zero dogs, small dogs, that can scale that, but the little cross grid one, they can climb up like a little ladder. Where you going, dude? Okay, you're just perching. Very, very regal. The little cross ones, that gives them like a little ladder to climb up, so that might make it a little bit more difficult for them. No, you don't get to look at the dogs and whine. But what you can do is you can put that playpen out with the straight bars, put in your crate on one side of it, or your dog bed, put a potty pad on the opposite side, and like a little mini bowl of water, just enough to kind of get him throughout the day if he's not a gluttonous drinker. And then he'll still be able to walk over and go potty, but when the area is so large, it takes them longer to get to the potty pad, and dogs tend to be impulsive. They go where they're most comfortable, and if they're comfortable in the spot they're laying in, they might get up, walk 2 feet, and have an accident there, or go potty there. The smaller the area, the easier it is to get to that potty pad, and the more contained they are. Most dogs will not pee or poop where they eat or sleep. Some dogs will, and a lot of people who are commenting are saying their dogs are, but it's less common for it to happen. You provide a smaller area, they're more likely to go on the potty pad. This is a two-parter. Let me answer the next part. Doesn't pee on the pad at nighttime. How do I get him to pee and poop on the pad at night? Same setup. I'd probably use a playpen, and I'd probably have the same exact setup. And if I'm still having accidents, then your system is not working. And if you want to make sure all your potties are on the pad, you'll need to do a more strict setup. That's usually where you need to go to the crate, where I put the dog in the crate for about an hour and a half, depending on age. I bring him out, I put him on the pad, and I actually stand there holding a leash on the harness or a slip lead or whatever you guys want to use. And I stand there over the dog, and if this is my potty pad, my cute dog book, boom. Can you guys see that? Kind of. Dog is on potty pad, and I'm holding the leash right here. So I'm literally standing above that potty pad, and my dog is unable to get off. They try to go left, I guide right. They try to go right, I go left, forward, back. You get the idea. You're preventing them from moving off the pad, and you stay there for 2 to 3 minutes. This is how we acclimate a dog to going on the potty pad. It could be the grass turf, the grass outside, whatever you want. It's how we potty train in general, which is we teach them where to go and when to go. Once they're on that pad, 2 to 3 minutes, they do not go, which is common, guys, very common. In the crate for 10 to 15 minutes for a dog over 6 months, or I'd say maybe 15 to 30 minutes for over 6 months. And any dog between 4 to 6 months, I do about 5 to 15. Any dog under that, you gotta just honestly guess at it. I do 5-minute increments and see if the dog potties in the crate. No potty in the crate after 5 minutes. You put them on the pad. It doesn't go potty on the pad within 2 to 3 minutes. Back in the crate, maybe I'll try 10 minutes next time. You're kind of figuring out your dog's bladder. You're figuring out how long they can hold it. You're teaching bladder control. And you're also teaching targeting of an area for that potty. Do this throughout the day and you're less likely to have accidents overnight. But I'll be honest too, most dogs don't really potty at night. Most dogs can sleep between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. or 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. Let me pull the age really quick. 8-week-old, so that's a pretty young dog. You're probably going to get about maybe 5-6 hours of sleep time. And one more thing I'll add is, depending on when you go to bed, that is your final potty time. So if I go to bed at 11 p.m., my final potty time is at 10:58. I got to be able to guide them to that area and make sure I get the potty. If I let them out to the potty pad and I have no structure, no control over what they're going to do, they're probably just going to go sniff around, hang out, and not do what we actually need them to do. So that's where the leash and the leash guidance comes in, because you're trying to help him understand what we want from him in the moment. And I'm going to comment on this really quick, guys. Loki's been kind of whining this whole time, and I'm sure you guys are hearing it because it's right around where the mic is. So what I can do is I can do like a, hey, settle down. I got a little, he kind of did like a little grumble, like he was disagreeing with it, but he also understood that I don't care for the whining. We don't punish, we just disagree. Because a whine is frustration, and it's frustration he's attempting to work through using the whine. If it's escalation to a yip or a bark, then maybe I'd grab a leash and I'd do a little bit of work with him to kind of tone him down. But right now, this is just his inability to sit still. But after all that little, hey, settle down, and see, like a little tug, like a little movement, he actually laid down. And he's starting to relax a little bit. So instead of getting mad, yelling at your dog when they do the whine, it's more neutral, because whatever energy we give, whether it's positive or negative, is energy. It's at its base energy, and it amps up dogs if it's not what they need in the moment. I think we got all that one. That was a long one. That was actually a really, really good question. So if you have a dog who's not able to sleep throughout the night, you got to change up your structure a little bit. You might need to add a bit more daytime structure for when you're home. All right, and this is the same person, but just a different question. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm gonna give you 2 questions, but they're the same person. This is from Ashley. My 11-week-old Cockapoo pees a little when she is overly excited. Any tips? And then also same one, my 11-week-old mini Cockapoo bites and attacks the leash during walks. Any tips? Let's go with the first one. So the first one is overexcitement. Very likely we're doing, oh, hi puppy, hello. When we get home and I'm about to create a monster, this dog will whine for the next 10 minutes now because I gave affection. So now you guys get to see how I handle that one too. But anytime we have an overstimulated, overexcited puppy and we feed into that, we're actually promoting the urination and the excite people. Oh yeah, what did I tell you? Hey, settle down. Hey, settle down. Good. You guys heard my Batman tone. That's my, I'm Batman, settle down. Because in that moment, when we use, I'm in like 3 different places. We're gonna tackle the question, then I'll tackle what I just did with Loki. Bethany tunes me in, she keeps me on track. Now Kimberly has to do it. Poor Kimberly. So, overstimulated, overexcited puppy, we give energy and we promote the excitement P. So what I do in that situation instead is I would probably use some kind of harness or slip lead to get a little bit more control over my puppy, and I'm not allowing them to push forward to greet people. They actually take a step behind me. They sit behind me. They're not gonna greet until they're more settled and more calm. And I'm talking that could take 30, 40, 50, an hour, 2 hours. It really depends on the temperament. We have one dog in school named Magnus, and I hope you guys are watching because I know you guys do. And Magnus had a big issue with excite potties. And it went for about 2 months. And they actually did about 2 to 4 weeks of minimizing the amount of affection they give, and it helped tremendously. What I mean by that is they get home, Magnus is wiggling and excited in his crate, and they would leave him in for an extra 15 to 20 minutes until he was like, yeah, that's what you did too. Gave the big sigh, laid down the crate, and accepted that he was not going to get affection. And when that occurred, that's when they'd actually go up to the crate, they'd open it, they'd let him out of the crate, put on his harness, put on his leash, and they'd continue to not give him affection because he was on right in that line of unleashing his full bladder on their feet if they gave affection. And this slowly built up and became easier and easier for them to do it. After doing this for 2-3 weeks, good boy. After doing that for 2-3 weeks, then he started coming out of his crate a little bit more calm. He's still happy. He still wants affection, but he knew that there was a time for it. And now they're to the point to where they can greet him even with a little bit of affection without him urinating. People greeting him on the walk, they don't do that anymore. Dogs playing on the walk, they don't let him play with other dogs on the walk because they're keeping a lower threshold on his energy level, which keeps the pee inside of him where it's supposed to be and not coming out for excitement. So move back from all the excitement. Don't let people greet them. You need calm greetings, calm greetings, no energy. Ignore the puppy until they're more settled. And when they're more settled, you can do kind of like let them sniff the hand, gentle massaging pet on the chest. I don't go for the head, which makes them kind of go low and submit. And he would roll over and he'd actually pee up on his head. So it prevents some of that rollover, which is submission, and then that's what causes the pee. Gentle pet on the chest, calming. And then maybe after that, good boy, come, play, sit down. You turn it into a training session so you don't give way to the potty. Second version to your question, or second part to her question. Bites and attacks the leash and doesn't walk. Ooh, okay, so I would say that you probably need to start inside of your home first. If your puppy isn't walking outside, you need to build more food drive. You need to start working for your meals. Any puppy who doesn't pay attention outside, they're not ready for that level of walk yet. 11-week-old is still young, guys. I mean, it's probably barely even been vaccinated at this point. So I would say you should do more walks inside your home, around your living room, up and down your hallway. And when your puppy is following your side, and I'm talking like I might walk 2 feet with food by my side. And look, Loki's even looking at the hand. He's like, I don't know what it's got, but I want to try for it. And that's what I want. I want him to sniff my hand. I walk a couple steps, good, food. Walk a couple steps, good, food. He darts ahead of me, and I let him. I know, counterintuitive, don't let him pull. No, we're going to let him do it. He darts ahead, you freeze. When he hits the end of the leash, you start slowly moving your arm to the side of his head in a diagonal motion, so never down the spine, always at an angle, and you kind of walk back 2 to 5 steps. When your puppy's finally like, what do you want? And he turns to look at you. You're holding food, and he goes, oh, you got some good stuff for me. So he'll come check in. I guide him and lure him to my side, good food, and I walk another few steps. He'll do it again. He'll pull. Same thing. Walks by my side, and on that 3rd, 4th, or 5th one, he's gonna look up and check in with you. And it's when he checks in, good, food, while he's still at my side. And then he starts making the connection of the closer I walk to mom and dad, the more rewards I get, the more food I get, the farther we go, the more we walk, the more enjoyment I get out of the walk. And as I get that inside the house, then I move to the backyard. Then I move to the front yard. Then I move to the sidewalk. And then I move to walking in a larger area. But granted, this isn't in a day. This isn't a month. This is in 2 months or 6 months. You got to build your way up to it. But 11-week-old puppies are still pretty young. They're still learning what they need to do and the understanding of what you want from them. So take your time. There is no rush for teaching a puppy how to walk. I had a gentleman with a Dalmatian puppy. No, a Weimaraner, which is even harder. Walk around our neighborhood, like where Kimber and I live, and it took him about 3 months to harness train his dog to walk loosely on a leash for all food work. He had a pouch on his hip. I asked the gentleman at one point, he goes, we don't do any free food. There's no food in the bowl. The first 4 months of having that dog, every meal went into his pouch and he trained with it. This made his dog incredibly focused and motivated to work for him and not for himself. So just a couple tips to kind of get you guys walking. If anyone listening has a really difficult puppy and you've tried all this, you've been on our shows for a while, you've attempted every piece of advice we've given and it's still not working, seek out a balanced dog trainer. Most of the time, you just need a little bit more privatized training. You might need something a little bit more strict, and they can usually help you guys do it. But if you do hire a balanced trainer, make sure they're a balanced trainer that has worked specifically with puppies. Completely different, a puppy trainer versus an adult dog trainer, because adolescence is a whole different type of beast that they have to work through. All right, and now we have a 3-part question from Amani, and this is one that a lot of people actually responded to her. I didn't give the other people's responses, but I'm going to give the 3 parts of her original question. So it says, hi, adopting a 8-week-old soon. I don't know the breed, and guys, the breed does help if you guys ever want to add that in. And if anyone's watching, and it's Amani watching, if you want to throw that breed to me, I can give you better customized advice. Adopting 8-week-old soon, did you work off of a crating schedule or just as a needed basis? Thanks. I don't know if you're answering another question. I'm going to assume you're answering someone else's question. My answer is going to be most people who are doing a crate schedule, you're not doing a need as basis, because that's not a crate schedule. That's just winging it. Winging it does not potty train most puppies. I'll say most puppies because I got anomalies out there. I got that unicorn 1 in 100,000 that people are like, yeah, we use it sometimes, don't use it other times, my puppy's doing great. I had a lesson last night that was a virtual lesson for someone, and they told me that, and I said, that's amazing. Do it until you can't. When they said, what do you mean when I can't? I said, when you can't means that your puppy has hit adolescence and they're going against the boundaries you've set, which means you got to buckle down. You got to tighten up that schedule and follow it more closely, because adolescence is very challenging and dogs will almost act like they forgot every ounce of training they've ever learned. They haven't. It's still in there, but you need a couple weeks of a really strict schedule to get them back on track. Next part of the question is, a trainer had told me the puppy shouldn't be crying in the crate at all, but that didn't sit well with me. Any advice for what we should do when my pup is crying? I've read tons about positive reinforcement for any interaction with the crate, but found different opinions on what to do when crying. No, I love that actually, because crate should always be a positive reinforcement type of tool. Because if you think about it, I tell the dog, no, Loki, bad dog, go in your crate. And he's sitting there like, what the heck just happened? Well, I'm pretty upset, and now I'm associating negativity with this crate, so I'm going to bark a little bit more to show my frustration. We actually, when we use the crate, I don't say no when I put the dog in the crate. I kind of use like a 3-strike rule too. Strike 1, pause when the dog is doing something bad. I'll do a no, pause. I don't say pause. That's for your guys' benefit, not the dog's. No, pause. And when the dog's kind of like that, looking at me, then I'll grab a toy and I'll redirect the focus. But I can't be like, no bite, toy, good. Chew the toy. Because it's like, oh, okay. When I want a toy, I just got to go bite mom on the butt, and then she'll go grab me a toy. That pause in between is so he can be like, well, what do you want instead? Some dogs don't pause. If they don't, that's okay. I'll tell you another solution. But they pause, and then you redirect to the toy, and that usually lasts about 5-10 minutes before you get to strike 2. Strike 2, and this will happen if the puppy doesn't pause, isn't receptive to the first strike at all. Strike 2 is a firm body block. This is called spatial pressure. So if my dog's in front of me, barking at me, jumping at me, nipping at my ankles, I turn to face the dog, and if this is me and this is the dog, they're jumping, barking, or nipping, no! I move in and invade their space. We're not trying to clobber them with our knees. It's simply a bump, and I want you to think of it as claiming the space that they were trying to claim from you. Most dogs, when they do that, it's them trying to take control of the situation. They're trying to get you to back off, and when you back off, they win that interaction. They claim leadership over that interaction. But when you're like, no, I move in and my puppy backs off a step, it gives you about a 1.5 second, hey, settle down. Your brother did for a whole 30 minutes, he sat here. You got this. By stepping into the dog and getting them back off, you give yourself about a 1.5 second window to redirect the focus to something else. But I'm going to be incredibly clear with what you're going to see when you do that step in. You're going to get something that looks like fear. It's not fear. With 95% of our dogs, they've never known a moment of fear in their life, but you're going to get trepidation and hesitation. When you step in, they're going to do this and look a little bit shocked. That's because they had no idea you're willing to escalate to their level and one-up them, so they're surprised in that moment. And in that moment of shock, you need to redirect them to something else. I'll go grab my food pouch, or I'll tap my leg like I have food. Loki sniffed my hand like I got the greatest treat in the whole world. My hand's empty. But he doesn't know that in that moment. Loki, come, place, sit. down. And next to every cot, next to every bed in my house on an elevated surface, I got a little pouch of food. I got a little Ziploc bag with kibble, whatever my dog likes to work for. And I'll grab that bag. And now I've waited about maybe 8 to 10 seconds since my correction and redirection. And now when I bring out food, my puppy's in work mode. I can't do no, off, step in, sit, good treat. Oh, okay, so if I jump on Sparky and sit, I get food. You guys get the idea? It's if you reward right after the negative behavior and after your no, you're still actually promoting the negative behavior. And if that doesn't work, trust me guys, I have a point I'm trying to make. That doesn't work. Strike 3. All right, now you're mad. Let's be honest. You're pissed off. Everyone gets pissed at their puppies. Puppies are a whole lot of work, and we get mad at puppies when they do things we don't like. But this is incredibly, incredibly important. Take a deep breath. Don't tell your wife that. When I tell mine that, she gets very upset with me. Just don't tell her that in a fight. You should see the look I'm getting right now. But in that moment, we take a deep breath, going, calmly pick up your puppy's leash or the puppy himself, walk to your crate, put him inside of it, close it, lock it, cover it, and walk away. And I still know that I have people watching this video being like, no, Sparky, that's still a correction. She knows she did something wrong and ended up in the crate. How? You tell her no when she did it? No, I told you not to. You wouldn't do that now. When you are neutral, calm, and relaxed, and you calmly pick up your puppy, their short attention span for a puppy is 1.34 seconds. For an adult dog is 2.34 seconds. It's incredibly short. They live in the moment, and thank God they do, because that's what makes them so easily trainable. In that moment of you pausing, taking that deep breath, they're looking a little bit unsure. Calmly picking up, putting them in the crate, they're gonna sit there like, huh, I have no idea what the heck just happened. Let me bark for 5-10 minutes to show my frustration. But after 5-10 minutes, when they don't get what they want, most of the time they settle down. And when they settle down, that usually starts the next round of their crate time. I want you to think of a puppy as a baby. And when a baby is cranky, they go to their crib. When a baby is cranky, they go to their crib and they take a nap. Your puppy is saying they need a nap. Most puppies under 6 months of age need about 18 to 20 hours of sleep a day. And when they hit about 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, they can go down to about 16 hours. But anyone who looks at their dog, a day they're there and the dog is just lazy and laying around all day, they sleep for about 18, 20 hours. That's what they need. They need that to mentally be calm and relaxed and well balanced and well regulated. They need that to create neutrality. All right, kind of got in the weeds on that one. That was still a fun question. Did I answer everything? Oh, the positive reinforcement part. What I just said was still positive reinforcement because you're positively reinforcing the crate. But the part of the question where the puppy shouldn't be crying in the crate, I'm not really sure your take on that one. I got a little bit confused about the wording and the verbiage. But I will say this. If a puppy cries in the crate, I'm not going to yell at him and punish him. Because they're crying in the crate because they're either frustrated, they have anxiety, or they have some boundary frustration. And all of that, you can't punish. But sometimes I disagree with it. I can walk up to the crate and do a light, hey, hey, hey. Settle down. To the crate, not the dog. Don't hit the dog. It's a light, hey, 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 settle down. And it's what we call a disagreement with it. But when it comes down to it, positive reinforcement can't always be the solution. Some dogs have severe, severe crate anxiety. Everything I said will not help you. There's not much that will help you that I could tell you verbally. Any dogs that have severe crate anxiety, you've been on our show for weeks, months, even years. We've been doing this for almost 3 years. When you're on the show and nothing is working for you, that is your sign that you need to seek out a balanced dog trainer that works with crate anxiety or forms of anxiety in general. And there's someone that can help you. But yeah, some dogs have severe, true crate anxiety. And what I'm telling you and what Bethany has told you will not help. You need to seek out a professional. And we don't see too many of those. But if you have it, you probably know you have it. And that's your next step. All right, that got morbid. All right, from Rachel. Welcome back, Rachel. You've been with us a long time, and I love that. It must be means we're giving good advice. Is it bad to crate them at night while they sleep? 8 hours and 8 hours during the workday? No. Going off of what I just said, 16 to 20 hours of sleep and crate throughout the day is usually what regulates a puppy. But I didn't get a puppy to have them in a crate all day. Yeah, I also didn't have a baby to put them in the crib all day. You get the theme? puppies are babies. Babies are puppies. I don't know if that's going to go over well. Puppies are babies. We'll leave out the second part. But when you get a puppy, they do need to sleep throughout the day. They're a 1-year-old. They're a 10-month-old adolescent. They're a 10-month-old baby, like infant. So you have to help them sleep, help them regulate their energy, help them relax. So, by the way, Rachel, that wasn't geared towards you. That was a comment I got a couple weeks ago. I've been waiting, saving it in my pocket. Yes, it's absolutely fine for a dog to sleep in the crate for 8 hours if they're old enough to handle it and they're not having accidents, they're not crying for hours on end. Yes, they can sleep throughout the day. No, we're not putting them in there for 8 hours straight unless they're a year and a half old and they've been acclimated to it, and you're at work for 8 hours and they have no other solution, because puppies who roam the house when you're not home tend to get into things that can hurt them. That's the definition of an accident. Unplanned event with a negative consequence. Usually I do like probably an hour and a half to 2 hours in the crate and 30 minutes to an hour out of the crate, depending on how old they are. If they're under 6 months old, I don't think I'd be doing more than 30 to 45 minutes. Maybe an hour, depending on their temperament. But yeah, nothing is wrong with that whatsoever. First puppy! When should I start leaving my dog unsupervised out of the kennel? When they are perfect 95% of the time, when you're home and you're with them. So when I have a dog outside of the crate, I usually have a leash on them. Any puppy that's coming to this show, I assume is under 6 months of age or 8 months of age. And some of our older ones still need it even. But most of our puppies who come out of the crate, we keep them on leash because puppies are opportunists. And when I have a puppy that for 6 months straight, which is about a year to a year and a half, 6 months straight, they have not gotten into anything while they're dragging their leash around the house. They're not jump on the couch if they're not supposed to. They're not jumping on people. They're not nipping at our hands. They're not having accidents in our house. When your puppy is 95% amazing when they're dragging that leash around the house, that is when I will attempt to remove the leash when I'm home. I'm gonna do that for another 4 months, and they're amazing. And then I'll probably confine, and when I'm ready to start leaving them unsupervised in the house, when I leave, I might create a confinement room that's puppy proofed. I put up a couple baby gates. I made sure all cords are behind something that they cannot get to. There's nothing in that room my puppy could tear apart. And even with that, I might still put a camera on them in that room. And if I can check in that puppy periodically throughout the day, and they're doing most of their time sleeping, they're not pacing back and forth, they're not trying to escape their environment, their confinement, they're just hanging out and relaxed, welcome to, you no longer have an adolescent puppy. You probably have an adult dog that's very well balanced and ready for that. But I cannot see that happening until about a year and a half to 2 years old. Because most puppies are still puppies till about 2 years old. They're still adolescents even at 18 months. How are we doing on time? Hey, 1 minute. I got 4 questions. We can do that, right? We started late though, I'm going over. All right, this is from one of our videos, or from one of our YouTube videos. Should a 6-month-old puppy be crated during the day? That was the video. One person commented on it. Can you do a crate example schedule for a 3-month-old German Shepherd? I absolutely can, but I got to go through it quick. I would probably, well, one, DM us, but the time increment that I'm going to give you is probably an hour for 3 months old, 12 weeks. I would attempt an hour to an hour and a half in the crate with 30 minutes at max out of the crate, leashed at all times when not in the crate. What that's going to look like is puppies in the crate. They come out of the crate to leash and harness. They go outside for their potty, and I know I've already kind of explained this. I'm going to do it briefly. 2 to 3 minutes in the potty area of your choosing. I don't roam. I don't walk. I don't move. I am a tree. I'm planted. I'm a great oak tree. She can go left, she can go right, she can go forward, she can go back, she can do a backflip for all I care, but I'm not leaving that spot 2 to 3 minutes. Doesn't go in the crate for 5 to 10 minutes for a young 3-month-old puppy, 12 weeks. You can increase that if you have an older dog, and I'll rinse and repeat. Going in and out, in and out, in and out until they eventually potty. When they eventually potty, they come in for free time. Free time is broken up into 3 parts. Part 1 is walk or play, exactly what it sounds like. Part 2 is training, exactly what it sounds like. Part 3 is called supervised separation, and that's when I either do a playpen or a back tie tether. Playpen is they go in the playpen. I don't look, talk, or touch them. It's their time to exist around us. This is the easiest way for preventing separation anxiety. Or I'll do a back tie tether, which means I'll put them on their dog bed. I tie the leash on their harness, and leash is on the harness, clip to it, and I tie the other end of it to an object. Where are you going? To an object near the dog bed. So they can go on it, they have a toy or two, and they still cannot get to you. The whole key is that you're preventing access to you, so they learn to be confident, independent, and they learn to self-soothe and relax in their environment. It creates independence and confidence. And then at the end of that, that's when I give a little bit of water, a little bit of food. It's a half cup of water per 30 pounds of body weight every 2 to 3 hours. I know I talk fast, I'll say it again. Half cup of water per 30 pounds of body weight every 2 to 3 hours. That's like the national standard for what most dogs need. Unless you have Dalmatians, some other breeds, they need tons of water and you cannot regulate their water, which means yes, a lot more frequent opportunities to go potty. Well, that was pretty good. That was fast. And then at the end of that, give them the water, give them the food, then they go back in their crate. Preferably, I like to feed the food in the crate to build a more positive association to the crate as well. I got time? I'm going one more. All right, this is tips for potty training in the apartment. That was our video. What about people who work during the day? I live in a hot state in the top floor apartment and can't leave my balcony door open while gone. I answered your question 30 minutes ago. Ricky is phenomenal, amazing. She usually highlights where parts are. You do that, right? You still do that? Yes, okay. She timestamps videos and you'll see the timestamp of when I talk about apartment or home living and going to work and having to leave your puppy at home. It's about probably 20 minutes ago of this conversation. Last question is how to crate train an older pup. That was the video. Her question was, why does my 6-month-old have zero issue with the crate at night but throws an absolute fit during the daytime? Very likely it's because your crate is near you guys. That's usually what happens, but maybe it's not. Maybe you actually have a dog that has true crate anxiety. But whenever I do a crate setup in the home, I move that crate as far away from me as possible during the day. Because puppies want to be awake during the day. However, we know better. We have done studies. We have been working with dogs for hundreds of years throughout the past. And we have learned that puppies that want to stay up during the day tend to be cranky babies by the end of it. Meaning that a puppy that's awake all throughout the day, they're nipping in their hands, they're jumping up more, they're looking for opportunities because they're cranky and they need a structured rest time. I got lost. What was the question? I would say that you want to have your 6-month puppy in your bedroom when you're moving around during the day, in the crate with the towel covering the front and the sides, and the back is open, pushed up against the wall with some indirect airflow like a fan pushing some air around the room. I would have a white noise machine to drown out the noise outside the room, and I'd have some kind of Google Home, Amazon Alexa, Echo Dot thing or whatever. I got like 30 of those in my house. I'd have that providing some kind of soundtrack. YouTube has some excellent 2 to 4 hour soundtracks of Friends, Will and Grace, Big Bang Theory, Modern Family, like whatever it is. There's tons of different shows. You can put on a podcast if you want. And that talking gives your puppy something to listen to. The white noise is drowning out outside noise outside of that room. The talk show radio, the white noise, or the talking in general gives your puppy something to tune into, and it actually creates like a relaxed state. That volume for both of those devices are loud because I need to drown out the outside noise. And now my puppy's getting acclimated to it. I turn down the volume, I turn down the volume, I turn down the volume, and then eventually eliminate the white noise machine or the soundtrack, but I leave one or the other. Puppy's still good, another week. I'll eliminate the other item. Puppy's still good. Maybe I even try taking off the towel. Puppy cries for 2 hours straight. All right, leave the towel on. You can slowly make progress with that. And I'll say one more thing. I'm going to leave you guys in ether after this because this is just going to drop a bomb on you. You can even attempt to rescind affection for a short period of time of anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. What affection does for dogs is it creates a need to demand. They demand your attention. They don't want to be in the crate. They just got love for 20 minutes. Why the heck would they go in the crate? So when they're out of the crate getting affection all the time, they're going to disagree with going in the crate. Rescind some of that affection or just don't give free affection. All affection is after a training session. Maybe I'll do 10 treats and one little head pet. Come, good treat. Come, good treat. Come, good treat. Come. Good boy. Good job. Gentle chest pet. And then another 10 minutes of work. When you take away free affection, and they have to start earning everything, they no longer have an expectation to get affection. It's all earned, so they're going to more regularly rest in the crate without crying. But yeah, try that out. Get back to us next week. That's a hard one. Of all the questions I answered tonight, that is by far going to be the hardest question to work through. But yeah, try it out, guys. Let us know how it works, and I would love to see you guys next week. Next week, we're going to have Jack with us too. Loki, you did pretty good by the end of it. Oh, you mad at me? Okay. All right, guys. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Awkward smile.